Good morning, boys and girls, and we're now into Thursday. We are inching ever closer to our midterm break. We've just today and tomorrow to go, and then we get a lovely long week off. I hope you got a chance to do our Zoom PE yesterday. I know some of you weren't able to get on. We have internet issues and mummies and daddies sometimes are working, or you have other appointments, and I understand that. So don't be worried if you can't do the Zoom PE, but just as long as you're doing some kind of physical activity at home to help you, all right? Now, keep an eye out on Class Story today because later on today I'll be putting up just a little explanation of our Grow in Love for this week as well, all right? But let's get started first on our work for this morning, and we'll begin as always with our date. And our date today is Thursday, the 11th of February, 2021. That's Thursday, the 11th of February, 2021. So now let's move on to our spellings, and you can say them before me at this stage. I'm sure you know them by now. So let's read through them. Jaw, jeans, June, July, page, change, large, giant, gentle, edge, bridge, and juggle. And we've talked through all of our sounds in focus. It is proving to be a bit difficult this week. Those sounds are tough to hear this week, so just take your time and just try your best, all right? Moving on to our literacy, and just want to take a moment to say well done to all of you for your Goldilocks and the Three Bears letters. I really was taken aback at just the high quality of the writing that I am receiving from all of you boys and girls. It really is excellent. So well done to all of you. I have really enjoyed reading your apology letters from Goldilocks, telling the Three Bears that she's very sorry for everything that she had done. The detail and the explanation really were fantastic. So well done, boys and girls. Really pleased with that. And now let's move on today to homophones. And as we know by now, homophones are words that sound exactly the same, but they are spelt differently and they have different meanings. And today we are looking at the words to, and, you've guessed it, two. Let's look at the difference between to, and two. Now the first two here at the top, to, is what I would refer to as the normal to. It's the to that you would use in a lot of sentences. And you would use it for things like, I went to the shop, I am going to go to my friend's house, I like to play at home. So it's that normal to that you would use all the time in sentences without even thinking of it. Then we move on to this to, too. And this to, just to confuse you even more, has two meanings. Too can mean more than you need, or it can mean also. And the best way to understand that is for me to use it in a sentence for you. So for more than enough, you might say something like, I ate too much. So I ate more than enough, more than I needed. I am too tired to go out today. So you're more tired than you need to be to go out. I am too busy to play with you today. So again, you have more work than you need to deal with. You're too busy, more than you need, okay? Also then is the other meaning for to. I went to the park, my friend went too. So you can see how also could slot in there instead. I went to the park, my friend went also. So to can mean also. I love LOL dolls, my best friend does too. So to can mean also. It can mean more than you need or more than you can deal with, and it can mean also. The TWO to then, with the silent W in the middle, TWO means the number two. So when you're asked to write two as a word, you would write TWO. So for example, if you were writing a sentence about the time and you were saying it was 2 o'clock, then you would write the word TWO for 2, 2 o'clock. So let's have a look at our sentences where we have to use 2, 2 and 2. Now, I'm not going to read them all through for you now. You'll be able to do that yourself at home. But just bear in mind that when you get down to the bottom questions from question 12 onwards, I think, 12, 13 and 14, there are 2 spaces for the word to. And it's 2 different twos. So for example, it says here, it is 2 minutes. I'm looking at question 12 here. It is 2 minutes to 7. So you're going to have to put a 2 here and a 2 there, but they're both spelt differently, so be careful. All right. So some of the sentences have 2 spaces and the 2's are different. All right. Then at the bottom, I want you to make up one sentence for each of your 2's. So number 1 is going to be a sentence using TO. Number 2 is going to be a sentence using TOO. And number 3 is going to be a sentence using TWO. So one sentence for each of our 2's. All right. Today in our maths, we are continuing with our data handling, which you are handling really well. And today we are looking at pictograms where the symbol represents 2 units. Now, what on earth am I talking about? Well, let's have a look. Today we are looking at a little pictogram with different styles of tops. So you'll see down at the bottom these 4 tops. There's a yellow one, a red one, a green one and a blue one. And you'll see the neck style of all of these tops is different. So this pictogram represents children's favourite styles of tops. Okay, so the yellow top has a square neck. The red one has a V-neck. The green one has a collar. And the blue one has a crew neck, which is a round neck at the top. All right. And these circles represent how many children have these type of tops. Now, look at the little key at the above at the top, I should say. The circle equals 2, it says. So every time you see a circle in your pictogram, that represents 2 people. So this is 2 children, this is 2, this is 2, and this is 2. All right. So how do we know when we see one child on the graph? What do you think represents one child? If a whole circle represents 2, that's right, then half a circle would represent 1. So for the children that have the top with the collar, we've got 2, 2 and 1 here. So just bear that in mind that when you see half a circle, that represents 1 child, but when you see a whole one, that represents 2. All right. Question 1 asks you which neck style is most common and least common. Okay, so you go over to your pictogram and you look at the one that's most popular and least popular. And you can just write a colour as your answer. That will be easier rather than trying to describe the neck style. So you'll say 1A, red or blue or green or whatever the answer is. All right, and the same for 1B. Question 2 then asks you to look back at the pictogram and find out how many children have each style of top. All right, so you're going to have to count the yellow and then the red and the green and the blue. For question 3 then you're going to add up all your answers from question 2 because it asks how many children are there altogether. Question 4 asks you which style is twice as common as the collared style, the green one. So you're going to have to look for an answer that is twice as big as the green. So you're going to have to count how many wore the green collared style and then double it and see who had double that amount. Moving down here then we see another pictogram, but just instead of going up and down, it's going from left to right. The key remains the same. One circle still represents 2 children, so half a circle then would still represent 1 child. This time we're looking at patterns on tops. So we've got the plain pattern with nothing on it, just a colour. We've got striped, we've got checked, and we've got hooped, which I assume means lines going across the waist because that's the way it is on this top. And question 5 just asks you how many of each top there is. So you're going through your pictogram, counting in 2's for each top, but remembering to add 1 if there's half a circle. Question 6 then asks you which pattern is on half as many tops as the plain pattern. Okay, so the plain pattern is very popular, you can see. But what is half of that? And which pattern has half as much as the plain pattern? So it's going to be which pattern has less, half as much. Question B then says which pattern is on half as many tops as the striped pattern. So the striped pattern has 3 circles there, and you know how many children that represents. Which pattern has twice as many? Sorry, my apologies. I meant to say which pattern is half as many. So we want which pattern has half as many children as the striped top pattern. All right. And it's always these questions at the bottom which are the most tricky. So just take your time and have a think about them, all right? And boys and girls, as you know, continue on as normal with your accelerated reading as you always do. And remember to take your quizzes as well. Very, very important. And your Sum Dog, of course, as well. And as I said earlier, keep a lookout on Class Story and I'll post a little Grow in Love for you later, all right? Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.